Tibet is one of the most restricted and sensitive regions of China, with foreign journalists and diplomats rarely allowed access. However, Chinese officials invited CNA to go to the autonomous region on a closely supervised tour. And the discussion was curbing what they called the negative influences of religion. Olivia Siong tells us more in this first of our 5-part series on Tibet.
Former herdsman Wang Zha used to live in a mud house high on the Tibetan plateau, but now he's been relocated to this village built by the government on lower ground. His wife suffers from rheumatism due to living at a high altitude, but has since benefited from the hot springs and medical facilities that have been provided. Speaking to reporters through an official translator, the Tibetan Buddhist says religion has become irrelevant.
Making
And Mr. Wang Zha says he sees it as a duty to share this belief or non-belief with his fellow villagers. He was among a succession of Tibetans trotted out by officials during our week-long trip, expectedly praising the government for their efforts. And we had few opportunities to speak to ordinary Tibetans without officials in attendance. But while the focus of the visit has been on the material side of life and poverty alleviation, it's also clear that in Tibet, the government's efforts to eradicate poverty don't tread far from the spiritual. Religion remains a highly sensitive topic in Tibet after an uprising in 1959 resulted in the flight of Tibet's spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, into exile in India. Today, China calls the Dalai Lama a dangerous separatist while claiming that there is freedom of religion in Tibet. But this village secretary told us that Communist Party members and cadres are not allowed to hold religious beliefs and have to sign a yearly commitment on this.
我们就是比如说像搞一些活动呀，我们也会突击去检查你这儿有没有设什么佛堂，然后有没有烧一些什么，这些我们一直都在做的。
这个我觉得你还是主要是问扶贫的问题吧，是吧？
对，所以我们就是说，我们的这个建党立卡贫困户更不应该真的是就是当这个两面人。
Tibet scholar Robert Barnett, who has studied the region, says this seems to be a new approach by authorities.
No new monks and nuns have been allowed basically in Tibet since the 1990s. What has happened in the last 2 to 3 years is that Chinese policy on religion in Tibet has moved to controlling the thinking of ordinary religious people, telling ordinary people who are not government officials and not monks and nuns that they should start changing their religious beliefs. And this is really a remarkable change.
During our trip, it's hard to gauge the support for the Dalai Lama. Pictures of him are banned from being displayed, and some we approached declined to speak on camera about him due to the sensitivities.
In an atmosphere where you can't say and you can't talk about it, it is really not possible to know. I would say that it would be an exaggeration to say nobody thinks he's relevant anymore.
Today, propaganda banners litter the Tibetan roads and highway, extolling the virtues of development, while photos of Communist Party leaders hang in most of the homes and villages we visited. Olivia Siong, CNA, Lhasa.